I just want to first say that everybody is on mute, and also we will not see each other. Suzanne and I can see your questions, but the way we've designed this webinar is that I'll be asking Suzanne questions from the questions that you guys will be typing in on underneath where it says chat. When I say, I'm going to basically just say to you, type in a few questions for Suzanne. Hopefully most of you took your fitness personality quiz, and then you'll know your color, and then you can ask questions that you have for Suzanne. Let me just see if she came back in. Let me just ask her.
How is that?
There she is. Okay. The lady of the hour.
I don't know what happened, but I'm back.
Okay, good.
Good.
I had said, everyone, I'm going to have to be you, if not with the book.
Oh,
that would be good.
You do a good job, though.
Well, thank you. All right, so I'm going to put us. I was going to do our from side to side.
Okay.
Okay, so we're ready to go. And Courtney, just
ready to go.
I'm going to just have Courtney type in if you can't see the two of us or can't hear us, just let us know. And we're going to begin. So again, I'll have everybody type in questions along the way once I say to you, type in a few questions for Suzanne. And I just want to take a moment and welcome everyone. And, it's a really interesting time right now. And that's why Suzanne and I decided to come together for all of you. And, it's an uncertain time. And what I have found personally and also professionally, it's been a time for many barriers and challenges for people with exercise. And so we thought this would be a really great conversation that we could have together, all of us. And Suzanne can help you overcome any barriers that you're dealing with and tips that could hopefully get you moving outside today. Right, Suzanne?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks, Michelle.
So my name is Michelle Joy Kramer. I'm a health coach and graduated from integrative nutrition. And I've coached hundreds of people worldwide. I've been doing health coaching for over a decade and met Suzanne 20 years ago. Back in the day, I'll say this real quick, I got this book from Suzanne Brue when I was racing, doing Ironmans. And her phone number at the time, her cell phone number was in here, and I gave her a quick call. I was so intrigued by this book, Suzanne. And I was nervous to call her because I thought she was this big celebrity. And ever since then, we both still laugh about it. We've been friends over 20 years, as I mentioned. I use your quiz day in and day out in my practice. And it's a great tool, not only to understand myself better, but also clients. And just so grateful for you. So Suzanne Brue is the author of The 8 Colors of Fitness. And she's a researcher, writer, consultant on the connection between personality and physical exercise. She's written 3 books, which I've shown. I keep them in my office. I use this one mostly. It's a little guide handbook. So I can quickly, if a client calls, which I know my one client's on now, Ben, I'll quickly figure out what his barriers are to get him out there swimming. And so Suzanne's a frequent speaker at the physiological and fitness conferences, psychological and fitness conferences. Mostly recently, she partnered with several YMCAs and developed a statewide physical activity program for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Florida. And she coaches wellness professionals around the globe, and her program she uses to coach her clients and patients to become, or other doctors to coach their clients and patients to become more fit. Suzanne, you're a purple and you enjoy swimming biking, yoga, and strength training, among other things. So I want to welcome you here and welcome everybody.
Thanks, Michelle. Thanks for inviting me. Great to be here.
You're welcome. So Suzanne, tell us a little bit, tell our listeners about how you develop the 8 colors of fitness.
Okay. So probably about, let's just say about, my gosh, probably 40 years ago, I tried to swim across a pool, and I realized that I actually couldn't even swim a lap, which was shocking for me because I always thought that I was active. So I started swimming regularly, and that just became what I did. But my background at that time also, my background is in psychology, and I became really interested in individual differences and in the Myers-Briggs, which is a personality inventory based on these individual differences. It's probably about 75 years old. So I had this moment with my mom. So I was finding physical activity pretty easy to do, and I was wondering why other people didn't. And I had this idea. It started really with when I was with my mom, and her physical therapist was just giving her instructions that seemed very wrong for her because she is a gold, and he was being way too vague. He wasn't assuring her safety. He didn't make the personal connection that was important for her. And I got that idea at the moment that, there really is something. Myers-Briggs has never been applied to physical activity. And this could really help people become more active when they discovered what was true for them, what was natural for them, what their natural environment was, and what their likes and dislikes were. So at that point, Michelle, I this had never been done. So I started interviewing people of the different personality types that were exercising to see, if they're exercising and they've been able to maintain it for several years. So I interviewed people that were exercising for at least 3 or 4 times a week for several years to see what they were doing, what was consistent with their personality. And it was remarkable how people that were exercising regularly were doing it in a way that fit their personality. So I started writing away.
That's wonderful. Suzanne, I just want to share with everybody that, there's times where I'll text Suzanne, I have a gold, I have a green, I have and over the years, you've been able to help me with clients of how to really overcome these barriers, and especially during this time.
Yeah.
Which you and I have spoken about for you personally, how you've had some of those barriers for yourself. I've had those barriers for myself, and then also what people are dealing with today.
Right.
I know as a health coach, to ask people to eat steamed broccoli right now and work out and stick to their routine has been very challenging for me.
Right.
Most people want to watch Netflix, sit on the couch. They're working, but they want to eat comfort foods. So, I want to start kind of opening that conversation with our guests, participants and then any questions you want to ask me as well, Suzanne, but just to kind of find out, what is your color and what are some of the barriers you're dealing with? So we'll start out with question 2. Go ahead, Suzanne.
Michelle, this is very brief, and we're doing an introduction, and going from that and then trying to help people find out what their barriers are. But one thing I do want to just start off by saying, because I think it's a really good division, and if people remember nothing else from this webinar, they should think about, there are 2 ways that people exercise. And there's a whole group of people that exercise as a job, and they want to, it's not that they have anything against fun. It's just fun is not the point. The point is completing what they set out to do, and they do it with a plan. And then there's a whole other group that wants fun from the get-go. And in order to be able to exercise, fun is a criteria. So how these 2 different parts of the population nobody is more physically active. It's not like the job people are more physically active than the play people, but people find out their own way. So I'm a more job person. I know you're more play, so
That's why we get along so well.
that's right.
And I'm going to put up on the screen as you're talking about the job and play. We have a document
Yeah.
to show
Okay,
so that everybody can see this.
got it.
Good.
Yes.
So just share a little bit about this when you talk about job and play so people understand.
Okay,
With the
so at the top of the screen, the blues, the golds, the purples, and the whites are job exercisers. And as I said, they they're most successful when they have a plan and complete their plan. And there's actually a bit of a tension when they start and they don't finish. So, that's something that you can have work for you also, because very often I know I'm a job person and I'll go, okay, I'm gonna be on the bike for 45 minutes, and it's uncomfortable if I don't do what I say I was going to do. So you can use it as an advantage. And so you see the blues, and these are all based on Myers-Briggs types, but you can see with the blues, they really like to keep track and have order there. I don't know if you see that the dumbbells are on the floor and the calendar. They're really very, very good advanced planners. And then the golds are right next to them. The golds are similar to the blues. The blues tend to be introverted. The golds are extroverted. And the golds really, they like that plan. They also like to share what their successes were. And that's a big part of that too. But the blues and the golds tend to be traditional and conservative in their approach to exercise. They're not going to try anything trendy. So in this shutdown that we have, it is unlikely that they're going to be, it wouldn't fit that they would try something very new that has not been proven. So that would be
about that, because both of our moms are golds.
Right.
And,
right.
And so my mom, like you said, she's going to do something that's for her walking. It's not something new.
Right.
But she did go through a struggle, and she has been going through a struggle around that. I asked her to type in a question, but as you're saying that, as I'm listening to you about her as a gold and just,
right.
That's what she does, walking. She's not going to try a online Zumba class. No,
she's not going to do something new, certainly at this point. So very often golds will have a plan B too. Like if it rains, they will do something else. But walking, and also the blues and golds like to measure. So for her to walk in a familiar path, and that she knows how far she's walking and can complete that, because that drive to completion is very, very important.
Sure.
So, and maybe somebody might have, is everybody unmuted or?
Well, I'm going to, I'll stop and share. Is there anything else you wanted to say with the rest of the wheel, and then I'll take
Well, I could, but I would say that the purples and the whites are, they are also completion oriented. They have a goal. They want to finish it. They tend to be more, I would say their desire to try something new would be higher than the blues and the gold. So like for instance, who was swimming regularly, I like exercise that's very repetitious, so I can kind of zone out, which is typical of purples. So, but I switched pretty easily into biking using the Peloton apps. But I still had the major motivations were there for me in terms of being able to complete what I set out to do and zone out, not have to pay too close attention. So.
Great. And do we cover? Yeah, we got everything.
Well, we don't have the bottom. These are the fun-loving people at the bottom there. The greens, I must say, the greens are having the least amount of problems with this shutdown. They're out in nature. They are probably being okay without being contacted with as many people as before. They tend to be really find a lot of energy inside. So I would say that they're pretty flexible. Probably doing a lot more yard chores. The reds Reds are probably missing the competition. So they've got to figure out ways to set their goals so that they can achieve them and have fun, because they have a hard time training without a goal. And I will say that the Greens and the Reds use the word training instead of exercise, because exercise just sounds so never ending. So
I'm laughing
and because what?
I'm laughing because I understand with the languaging, just with clients.
Do you use train when you talk with the Reds and Greens?
Yes.
Yeah, that's.
I do.
Yeah.
And then we'll go to silver and saffron, and then we're going to take on some questions. I know we're going to.
Okay. Well, Michelle, you're a silver. Your silvers are really, really flexible. They're probably missing all their workout friends, all their buddies, all their yoga buddies, and seeing familiar people and having fun with. They really get a lot of energy exercising with other people. And saffrons are similar to silvers, but they have a fewer amount of people that fun is it's a very high criteria for them to have fun, and it's not everybody that they want to exercise with. They are very selective in terms of their workout buddies.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, let me stop sharing the screen.
Okay.
Okay, we have some more people that came in. Okay, so let's we're going to take a few questions. So you guys can type in under chat for Suzanne your color and any questions that you have. Barbara said there's a sound interference. Ronnie Watt's video is on.
Okay.
Thanks, Barbara. Bear with us, everybody. We will do this again. Okay. So I'm not seeing any, all right, here we go. So from Mark, he says, I'm an OT.
Okay.
Okay, and occupational therapist, trying to help with my patients to engage them personally. Okay, so that's from Mark.
Okay. So I think, Mark, and maybe this is just a general thought too. I think most people, whether health coaches or personal trainers or occupational therapists, I think there's a tendency, and a very natural tendency, to engage with people and to recommend things that you would like to do and that work for you. So I think this is where the 8 colors is really so helpful, because if you find your client's personality, you're able to flex with them. So let's say if Mark is let's say he's got a client who's a red, for instance, and you might, so that Reds love recognition. They love being able to share what they do, and they do like competition. I don't know how that would work in the OT world, but just to say recognition and a lot of positive reinforcement. That's particularly important for Reds, where, let's say, I'm just going to give a contrast, saffrons are not going to be as oriented toward that. They're not going to be, they want to know what they did went well, but they tend to be more critical of themselves, and so maybe complimenting them is not going to be as important, because they're going to be they will have standards for themselves, if you could understand what I'm saying. So
can I share something as well?
Please do.
So Mark, one of the things that I do with my health coaching clients is, so for instance, and I've had to find ways as well personally, like Suzanne said, I'm a silver. So my sport's been Ironman triathlons, and most people would think, well, you're motivated, it's easy for you. But really it's not. It's the systems that are in place. So as a silver,
okay,
because I don't have my friends. I don't have my swimming buddies, my yoga buddies, my running groups. I do not like to work out alone. I have to put my systems in. What that means is I'm typing my coach. I don't feel like working out today. And he says, get your butt out there. And I do. And then I know he's going to be tracking me so he can see that I did it. So
Right.
that system works because Suzanne, you pointed out at one time, I don't want to disappoint people,
Right.
which I never knew that about myself.
Right.
And so having these systems in place, for instance, one of my clients, so he's a purple harmony. And what I've done with him over the last couple of weeks, because it's been a struggle for him, he's in Los Angeles, is basically I have him using the Strava app.
Right.
Because now, you know, he's all about as a purple. And this is the book that I use. As I mentioned in the beginning, I really love this guide. You can see on my little tags here. But when a client is struggling, the first thing I do is go to this book. And I look up purple, and I have all these highlights. You can see all this? Yeah. So I have all these highlights, and I think, okay, so he's dealing with not feeling motivated to get on the Peloton. He wants to, for purple, the environment is outdoors. So he's hiking now, he's outside. For him, he likes to work out alone. So I'm, Mark, I'm looking at what's the environment for him? What's the motivator for him? What's the approach I'm going to take? And I'm talking and speaking to that when I have a conversation with him. So the Strava app has been great because I get to see what he's doing. He gets to see what I'm doing. So that also helps me.
Right.
And so it's these systems that are in place. And we also have, we use other third-party companies as well for tracking. So, you got to get creative, but I think the biggest thing is knowing. You can't know every single, I don't know for you, Mark, but if you're able to individually know and have your patients take the quiz, then you're able to distinguish, oh, this one's green, this one's red, and just pick a couple things and it's easy. Then you know how to speak to each individual. So I just wanted to share that. That's how I do.
Right.
Certain people.
And Michelle, just one thing that came to mind when you were mentioning purples, and I'm thinking about purples being job exercises. Now, this isn't always the case, but I would just say generally people who approach exercise as a job prefer not to be at home when they exercise, because when they're at home, they just see all these unfinished projects and it really makes them uncomfortable because, that desire for completion. So often they will have to remove themselves. They're more successful just, getting out of their environment that reminds them of things they haven't finished.
Well, it's funny because this particular client has the Peloton bike.
Right.
And I just helped him pick out a new bike that arrived yesterday so he can go outdoors.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And his Peloton bike is in a room with crap everywhere.
That could be good.
Not organized. All right, so this is a great question. Thank you, Suzanne. Mark, we hope that was helpful. So Leanna, she wrote, with clients, how are you determining their color? Do they take the test? Suzanne only likes the word quiz.
Absolutely.
Do they take the quiz themselves or through a rapport and other questions you determine? Suzanne.
Okay, so there's a quiz on my website. There's a free quiz on my website, and people can take the quiz and they will get their results right immediately. And I would suggest what you do then is you look at the results and see if that seems right for you, because no assessment is 100% right. And I think so. You have to know that this is an assessment. So after that, then you work with you're working with your coach, and is that the question specifically was, I'm sorry, after you take the quiz and then see if it's right for you. When you get back to the color wheel, Michelle, one of the things in the color wheel that's interesting is that the neighboring color is very similar to you. So very often, let's say if a saffron, they're not sure if they're a saffron or white, they're going to be next to each other on the color wheel. So just look at the questions and play around with the website, talk to your coach, and you'll be able to figure it out.
So okay, thank you, Suzanne. I just put in for everyone to see the 8colorsoffitness.com.
Thanks. Yes.
What?
No, there's a thank you, because people should know they could take the quiz there.
So what I do is I go to, and I've been doing this for over 10 years, I go to Suzanne's website, I go to 8colorsoffitness.com. I actually click on your take the test or take the
You
quiz.
say.
I click on the button and actually highlight to make it easy for my clients so they don't have to go through the website. And usually I'll ship them a book or I use the book. But
Yeah.
I usually will just take that link, so it's real easy to do, and I email it to a client or text the client. They take it, they send me the results. I have them do a screenshot and send it to me. And
Great.
then I know and they know, and it's simple.
Right, right,
So
great.
next question. And Ronnie said he has read your books. Ronnie Watt.
Good.
And I hope that was helpful for you. So Ronnie said, I wanted to beat my sister in ping pong. How do I stay motivated?
I know his sister really
Ronnie's
well.
a red.
Ronnie's a red. So Ronnie, reds are fantastic competitors. They just thrive on competition, and they are. It raises them to a higher level, and so it's really fun for them. They also like to go all out. You know, they want to compete against somebody that's as good as them, so they can go all out. So I would suggest, if he was playing ping pong with his sister, that he should give her 20 points. And then if he can win, then that's a real win. Because if he doesn't, you know, then he can really have fun with us. Maybe 19
points be.
Oops. Oh, I don't know how that happened.
Okay.
Ronnie,
So-
snuck in. Oh, hold on, Suzanne. I have you on. Something happened with you. Let me unmute you. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Now you can talk.
Okay, so Reds, they want to
questions.
go all out. So just know that they want to have fun. They want to go all out. They love competition, and they like to have all sorts of ways to win. Like, oh, you know, I beat my faster time yesterday. Like, so let's say in this shutdown that we're having now, Reds might not have their team to play with, but they can set all these little mini goals so they can have all sorts of wins.
Great.
So,
Well, we have about literally 45 questions here, so we're going to go quick.
okay.
All right. So hopefully, Ronnie, that was helpful. So Carol has a question. Can you be half of one color and half of another? Can you be half of one color and half another?
Thank you. I knew this question was going to come up. So there is a home base that we have. So we all have a home base of which is our fitness color, fitness personality. And from that home base, we can do other things, but that's going to be your most comfortable place. And I can just give you an example. Like my home base is as a purple. I'm naturally extroverted. I can exercise as an introvert. It doesn't mean my personality has changed. It just means that I have flexed to other sides. So I think if you find your home base, you can flex from it, but you will have a home base.
Great. I had that question come up too. People have asked,
Yeah.
You know, they'll say, I took the quiz, but I wasn't sure which one. They're both me. And I said, don't think, just take it and be done quick. First thing that comes to mind. The ones that think too much, it's like, let's go.
Yeah.
All right. So this is from Jihiga. I hope I pronounced your name right. Oh, hold on. More people keep coming in. Okay. So Jihiga, for the color types, Suzanne, for the color types that enjoy working out in groups or group exercise to disguise their exercise, silver.
Okay. Or saffron.
Or saffron.
Good.
What are alternatives to keep them engaged and motivated during this time?
Okay. So disguising exercise is really important, and this is a very important thing for silvers. And is she a silver or saffron? Did she say?
You know, she didn't say.
Okay, but this idea of this I
color types that enjoy working out.
okay. So what a silver would typically do would say, I don't like to exercise, but I like hiking with friends. I don't like to exercise, but I really like yoga. You know, I don't like to exercise, but I love biking on a beautiful day. So take it out of exercise. Just forget about exercise and do what is fun and get exercise along the way.
That's
And
great.
for some people, it might be, you know, silvers might, but they're missing their classes now. But well, they're missing their in-person classes. But I have a friend who I was talking to recently. She's a saffron, so she was loving her Zumba classes with friends. So I said, "What are you doing now?" You know, and she said, "Well, the teacher has now put her class online." And she said, "So I'm not exercising. I'm just dancing with friends." So
Got it.
make it fun. Silvers and saffrons, make it fun, because it's not going to last if it's not.
Well, I can tell you as a silver, I'm just going to interject here. So alternatives that have kept me engaged and motivated, because again, I have no friends, my workout, my running buddy, she's been injured. So it's me and my headphones. And I haven't listened to music since I was, for over
Right.
25 years. I would always talk and there were groups. So
Right.
Justin, what I've been doing is, as a silver and disguising my exercise with groups, since I don't have that, is I have engaged even this weekend in a virtual 10K with my running group. So
Tricky.
The minute it came on email, I signed up so that I know we're all going to check in. It's all going to be,
Right.
here. And I put it right on Facebook, and, just ways to make it fun. I have in my mind, I'm going to do a sprint triathlon, in the next 6 months. So I have a goal set, even though there's no race yet.
Right.
So it's kind of a way to motivate myself to get out there, even though I don't have my peeps.
Right.
To get fit right now. And then eventually I'll be with them again, kind of thing.
Right. Right.
So
yeah. I mean, that's your trick. And all these colors have their tricks. I mean, I think we would use the trick. Like I remember, when I was interviewing for the first book, and I remember talking to a green, and she said, just get outside and then see what happens, because greens need nature. They absolutely need nature. Their attention to details is so profound that they will, let's say, they'll go on a hike one day and then they'll reverse it and go the other way, because they are seeing so much. They're seeing the changes in the scenery and the changes in the leaves. So it's just so important there to understand these different, what people are seeing and what's motivating them. For some people, it might be music, but for others, it's just taking in the physical world. One of my early interviews, I remember talking to the screen, and we're getting an echo again. Is everybody mute?
No.
Okay. Talking to a green, and I asked him, does he use music? And he said, no. He said, there's so much to take in the physical world that I would be overwhelmed with music, that it would be too much, like a sensory overload.
Suzanne, you may need to move your phone away from the computer a little bit.
My computer is off, and I didn't know this was gonna. Okay.
That's what Barbara said. Thank you, Barbara. Okay, so let's just maybe go away a little bit. Let's see if that helps. Barbara, let us know in the next minute or two. So I'm going to move on to a few more questions because of our time. Okay.
Good.
So, oh, my good friend Meg is in here. So she said, another silver. Thank you, Suzanne, for what you have created.
Can I just tell you something? I need to say something about silvers. Silvers are only 8% of the population, but they're so out there all the time. So I'm not surprised that we have overrepresented silvers, because they're just out there in the world in a way that other.
And I would say the silvers that I know, they love people.
Yeah. So
it's just about connecting people and seeing the greatness in people. All right. So thank you, Suzanne, for what you have created to help all of us. My question as a Silver Harmony is, what are some psychological triggers to notice as I remain in isolation? Recently returned from New Zealand, so I'm not able to spend time outside right now. I am recognizing that being part of this webinar and in this conversation is helpful.
So she's thinking, well, I think silvers and reds, I think, are the most extroverted of the personality types.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of degrees, in terms of wanting to be with people. So I think getting out physically and getting connected with people is really important. I think silvers, their energy is going to really go down, and they really could get maybe a bit depressed when they are not in connection with people. Just like some types are really happy with that amount of introversion that this has provided. Silvers are not. So I think however she can get connected is important, and let people know she wants to be connected, because Michelle, as you just even, silvers will respond really well to invitations. They might not initiate them, but they will, I'm not saying they won't initiate them, but they will respond very well to be invited.
Okay, let's for blue and gold.
Yes.
I know we have covered them. I didn't see if there's anything maybe you could talk about with the blue and gold,
right,
for a couple of minutes of our time, but just, what are some of the barriers right now that you've heard about with people being home right now, and what could they do? What would motivate them?
Okay, thank you. Now, that's a good question. And I want to address the blues right now, because blues are very consistent exercisers, and they're very consistent and conscientious about what they do and the responsibilities that they have. So, I mean, blues love routine, and they thrive on routine, and they do not like uncertainty, which is what we're living in right now. We're living in a lot of uncertainty. So it's a tougher situation for, I'd say, of any of the types, I think it's the toughest on blues in terms of their lack of predictability and not having a routine, so a lot of blues actually even stopped exercising because they just stopped because it's just gone. But I would suggest that, let's just say for blues, and I'm going to just talk about blues, for them to do something that they can complete, because this lack of completion is really weighing on people, for blues especially. So do something that let's say they decide they're going to go for a 1 mile walk or a 1 mile run or a 2 mile. It's something that is measurable, that they can complete and are comfortable with. Also, the other thing, and I think this will happen more, and we don't have time in this webinar to talk about efficiency and harmony, but blues, let's just say blues harmonies, because I know that's really going to be the most true for them, are so other responsibilities are going to take precedence over exercise, so they might drop that off. They might drop it off because there are other things that are more important, other responsibilities that are more important. So taking care of themselves might drop down. So that would be something to really watch for.
Okay, great. So our time is coming up. I know there's so many questions, so I'm hoping that we'll do another webinar number 2 and cover harmony and efficient, and everybody. Next time, we're going to send out an email tomorrow, and you guys can email us with questions. So, one of the things I want to say too is I like to share with people right now too, today is a new day. I hear a lot in my coaching about, I'm going to wait until we get back to normal. This is the new normal. So what I'm really, I want to share with everybody is that take advantage today of something new. Outside the box, even though it's uncomfortable, even for me, even for Suzanne with exercise, but we're making to do. We're trying new things where you'll discover something new about yourself. What's familiar, what's comfortable for most people. And, just to embrace this time, as hard as it is for a lot of people, but just to embrace this time to discover something new about yourself. And I highly recommend, not trying to sell anything, but I do love this book and I love her. Oh, that's you.
It's good.
And this has been just a great guide. And yeah, and Suzanne, I'm just so grateful.
Yeah, thank you. It's
Fun
great. It's
today.
great. And I want to say this is going to be over. It's going to be over soon. Things are easing up now, and different parts of the country, it will be over. And you know, stay grateful.
Stay grateful.
And
And a few people asked where they can purchase their books. So Amazon
is the best place.
And we're also going to have that link in the email tomorrow. So you guys will get that tomorrow with the follow-up email. But Amazon, you can buy her guidebook, which I mentioned, her 8 Colors of Fitness. Love this book too.
And there's a book for coaches that I think is really, I think it's really excellent in that it's got a really good in-depth part about exercise buddies. You know, like how, and this is a time where, let's say, you might have a white who is at home with a red, and how do you exercise together? So there's a lot of information. There's a whole wheel on how you flex to the different colors that you're with.
So we will put that on the email, Suzanne, and then we can have all the books available.
Okay.
For the coaching book too. That would be great.
Yes.
Thank you all for joining us, and just get out there and move.
Well, thank you.
Enjoy this time, and thank you all for being here. And we're going to stay on for a few minutes if you want to ask a few more questions. I'm just ending because that was the time we said. But if you'd like to stay on and ask a few more questions, I'll take them, and we can ask Suzanne.
Sounds good. I'll stay on. I'll be happy to stay on.
Okay. Behind the scenes with Suzanne Brue. I know my mom is still on.
Okay.
She's a hoot.
Well, if we have any
Michelle is on. Thank you all so much for being here. And Suzanne, your family.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And
so how does a saffron, Suzanne, stay focused? Mark asked.
How does well, I would forget about trying to stay focused as a saffron. I would have fun. I would really have fun and look at, be spontaneous. I think a saffron is, you know, I'm going to just say, Mark, when I started off, I had 7 colors and I didn't have 8. And it was the INTP was a saffron that I didn't have. And I looked at my spice drawer one day and I said, it's saffron, because they're offbeat. They're kind of offbeat. They want to have fun, but they're very strong personalities. So I would say, you know, when a saffron is having fun, they're very focused. So, you know, I'd say the fun first, the enjoyment, and then the focus will come.
So when you say fun, what's an example? So if Mark is seeing exercise as focused, how do you turn it into fun? You know, what would it be like?
Well, I mean, you know, like let's say doing something that's a bit off, like, I mean, it could be biking with a friend, or it could be, you know, for some saffrons, they like martial arts. You know, they find that fun. It's whatever other, you know, as I mentioned earlier, my friend who likes Zumba because she's having fun and she's having fun with friends. So it really, like, you know, just turning any exercise into fun and not being too structured. I mean, saffrons are, you know, if things get too structured, it's going to fall out. But taking advantage of, you know, of opportunities as they come along, to go swimming in the ocean, you know, go to the beach, whatever you personally find fun, you will stick with much more than anything that feels laborious.
Well, now we know most people can't go in the ocean right now.
Yeah.
But I was also going to mention music.
Music is very important. Yeah, it's very important.
He brought up.
Yeah, especially saffrons. They've got a great music list too. They're pretty good with music.
Okay, I'm going to ask one more question. Let's see here. I got that question answered. Cheryl, but I'm not really understanding her questions. Hold on.
But I think with staff, it's just getting in, respecting the playful part of themselves. Like, don't get too serious about exercise. It'll be, they can be great athletes,
Sure.
but they have to enjoy it.
All right, one more thing. Cheryl said something like, people do not fit into categories. So this is probably a good question to answer. Do not fit into categories. Psychologists tried to do this in the 50s. That never works. We all have a little bit of red and gold.
Absolutely, we do. But there's the home base and there's the way that it's prioritized in you. Like, I can do introversion, but I'm naturally extroverted. So I agree with her, but we're not, this is not rigidly, we're not.
Well, I'll tell you, for me, this has been to the T with hundreds and hundreds of clients. I'm serious. And, you know, there might be a couple things where somebody will come and say, oh, it doesn't sound like me. And then the next day it does.
Yeah.
You know, they discover that. But I have found it's just been such a wonderful tool. I don't even know what I would do without you. I think that was, okay, we got that. I think a lot of people started to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Thanks, Michelle. This was a lot of fun.
So I didn't answer all of them because there are a lot of similar.
Yeah.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thanks, dear. It was a lot of fun. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for asking me. See you later.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.